Mindfulness, it is not easy because we live in a very distracted world, a distracted culture, that has taken us away from who we truly are. The noises around us, what we see, what we believe, what we think, what we listen to, what we consume ourselves with. And to be honest with you, mindfulness is an energy that allows us to touch the present moment.
Hi there. Welcome to the Aligned Living Podcast. I'm your host, Kathleen Galatly, and I'm super excited to have you join us. In these episodes, we're going to have some heart-to-heart conversations with experts, everyday wellness enthusiasts, and, well, anyone with a story to share about their journey towards a more balanced and harmonious life. Welcome to the Aligned Living Podcast, where well-being meets wisdom, and the journey is just as important as the destination. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Aligned Living Podcast with me, your host, Kathleen Galatly. This is episode 19, and also a very special episode as it is the first recording of 2024. This was already pre-planned in 2023, so I love that it has manifested into the reality. I'm extremely excited about today's conversation. I know, like I always say this, but honestly, these conversations bring me so much joy. Like as a generator, like this shit lights me up. And so I actually just feel like this is like I get to just have fun while doing this, but it brings so much value. So today's guest on the podcast is a particularly inspiring person to me, a friend, a teacher, a guide. Sheshnee, thank you so much for being here. I have wanted to introduce you to this community for such a long time. And I can't wait. What excites me most about these conversations is the connections that are made afterwards. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to hand over to you, and I'd love for you to, I know this is always a loaded question, but we start off with like at the beginning, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and then we'll take it from there.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for the introduction, and a great 2024 to you and to your listeners. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And more especially, thank you so much for your kind words. Us as teachers being out there and all that we serve, with people, having connections made with yourself and many people out there. It's enlightening to also have a friendship and a little of a sisterhood that we create for ourselves. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. It's been a while since you and I've met and, chatted and communicated together. So yes, thank you so much. Who am I? That's a loaded question.
Go
you
wild.
know, yeah, being if the community asks me who I am, I usually say I'm a storyteller. Storyteller that has many tapestries of life. There's tapestries of our experiences, of our human existence, of who we become as we woven ourselves through that experience that we all want to touch, want to feel, want to sense, and want to become, right? And if you ask my spiritual side of me, a lot of people refer to me as a medicine woman. And I say it, a medicine woman from the heart that connects people back into their heart spaces, that makes them want to be able to feel again, in not just in feel, but also embrace themselves with a feeling of, kindness and compassion, and more especially love. A lot of people have forgotten what it means to love thyself, what it means to love, actually. So, in essence, I'm a storyteller. like everyone.
Oh, I just love. I don't know how we're gonna cap this conversation because I feel like I can just listen to you speak forever. The way, I often feel like the English language stunts me in what I'm trying to express, but I feel like you somehow find the right words to say the right thing. So I'm so excited to listen to the rest of this conversation. And storyteller is definitely such a beautiful expression of who you are. I would love for you to take us back a little bit, maybe a little bit to your upbringing. And what I always love to hear is, it's difficult, obviously, but was there a moment in your upbringing, maybe childhood, maybe, I don't know, early adulthood, where you remember having that moment of like the lights going on a little more? And maybe even that moment where you were like, yes, I can step into role as storyteller or as medicine woman, and I can feel that being authentic.
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. So I was brought up in a very loving home. My parents just celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary. Okay. Very loving, very nurturing family, and a family that conformed to society.
Mm,
Okay. The beliefs that were instilled of how a Indian woman should be brought up in society, how we should act, how we should behave. And at the age of 14, that's when I decided that I did not belong,
mm, mm. Sure.
as early as that. And that belonging has brought me to where I am today, but also recognizing what it means to belong. And we always look at stuff outside of ourselves. And I believed I didn't belong in this society. I believe I didn't belong in being this Indian woman that is always has something to say about society and what we should be doing. And I was a rebel. I think I still am, right? I think my mom would say I'm still am because I just don't agree with everything.
Well, I
Not
mean,
just don't agree.
define rebel.
Yeah, I just don't conform to the norm, right? I just don't conform to the norm. Even in my job, people look for me because I disrupt. I'm a complete disruptor,
Mm,
right? And I believe that we all have a say in what we should want to say. Of recently, I have been echoing this to a lot of people and women and conferences that I've been speaking at, and people were like, "What does that mean?" And I said, "I am my own creator.
mm,
I am my creator in the world that I am the only one that's living in.
mm,
No one else can create, no one else can see, no one else can understand because my world is my world. I'm the only one that stands in my world. My perception, who I am, what I see, what I interpret, what I sense, that's just me.
mm,
I am the creator."
mm,
And that has gotten me to a lot of trouble, definitely for sure. Lots and lots and lots of trouble. However, it has also made me who I am today. And without expression, at the age of 14, I knew from that time I was also held in a space of what does it mean to be able to express?
mm,
Because a person without expression is a person that doesn't have personal freedom. And I wanted to be free, right? And I was so confined in my home, no due to my parents, but they were very loving parents. I think a lot of people would envy the type of love that I received from my family, even till today. But for me, I was suffocating.
mm.
because I couldn't do or say what I wanted to say. I conformed to society's rules and the belief systems because that is all that I would knew. So I followed until I couldn't anymore.
Mm. Mm.
And it has certainly been challenges. It breaks relationships. It makes relationships. You have your, I call them your map shifters of your journey.
Mm.
Your map shifters enters your journey, enters your path. They leave your path. They share with you a lesson of yourself and they go.
Mm.
And through all the pain and suffering, it becomes it helps you to become who you are today. So through all of that, through all that you go through, whether it's pain, love, suffering, and all of the things that you challenge, you do come out. It does pass. But
Mm.
it's going through that that makes who you become today
Mm.
and what you become from that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I also keep having these conversations with friends and clients, and you know how unfortunately, and I did a little video on this the other day as well about, you know, the more aware you become, the more your awareness increases, the more your bullshit tolerance decreases. And
Absolutely.
that is your tolerance towards your own bullshit, but also to the world around you. And unfortunately, I guess, but in a very difficult way, that does include family, that does include partners, that includes colleagues and friends and neighbors and everyone. And there are many times when I'm like, oh, can't I just close my eyes again? I just like, just for a moment, like, can I just close my eyes again? Can I just be like, I don't know, just like it's like being like, just can I just take a step back? And unfortunately, you can't do that. Like when
Yep.
the gates are open, the gates are open. And I think then very much the lesson being that, you know, how can I be content in the uncertainty of everything unfolding around me, because it is a very destabilizing place to be. And I guess my question to you is, growing up and from such a young age, being like, cool, like, you know, I feel like I don't believe here, and I'm sure seeking down many different paths in trying to find, you know, where is it that I belong, or where do I feel like maybe this is a little more home, or this is a little more grounding, or I can express myself here. I'd love to hear, you know, was that through certain activities or practices? Was that certain group of people or certain relationships that you found in life? You know, like you say, you've got these people who come in and out. I'd be very interested to hear if there's, you know, a particular, I know, like for me, it's um one of the big things for me has been Tams and Shihi from the Shala, who,
Okay.
you know, I went into the Charlotte to do my teacher training, and next thing I knew, I left there 5 years later. And so it's, you know, these profound things that happen. So I'd love a little bit if you'd like to share any of that, and maybe letting that take us into how you got into the mindfulness work that you do now, which I'm sure is all very connected.
No, definitely. You know, one of the greatest truths you hear is that not everyone is ready to hear it.
Mm.
And that has got me into some major trouble. And that's said lightly, very, very lightly, right? Um, you know, we have this journey that we go through and we're experiencing life. And I am a traveler. Okay, so I meet people from all around the world and all walks of life in different places. And you get someone that will share something. So I went through burnout, my first burnout many years ago. And the burnout that I experienced was not work.
Mm.
The
Mm.
burnout I experienced was actually life, not knowing where I belong.
Mm.
And unfortunately, at that point in time, not knowing who I was. Because when your life comes crumbling down and what you thought life was or should have been, and what you were taught, those belief systems, and when everything just falls at a click like that, who are you? And then you start asking these questions. And when you start asking these questions, you start unraveling yourself into this whole conscious awareness part, which you've just touched on, right? So I met someone, and he was a monk in Bali. He didn't know me. We were having dinner, and I was absolutely broken. So broken that I couldn't even recognize who I was. Everything around me crumbled. There was nothing left but my physical being just being there, not even present at the time. And yeah, I had this monk sitting across the table in his art gallery in Bali, right? And he just looked at me and he saw the pain and he saw the suffering in my eyes. And when we were about to leave, he said to me, Sesh, through happiness, we find ourselves. But happiness can only be found through acceptance. And I don't know what it meant. I just stood there and I said to him, Master Jack, thank you so much for having me in your home and sharing your wisdom with me. But he left me with that impression. Happiness is actually acceptance, true acceptance. And for years, and I didn't understand until it hit me. Right? It'll always hit you in the face, or
Don't know until you
it will
know.
slap you when it needs to slap you. That's literally what happens, right? And if you have to ask me who I am, I said to you, I'm a storyteller. But with the storyteller, I'm a traveler, I'm a researcher, and I'm a teacher. Because I teach and I research and I learn things from all over where my heart desires me to go, right? And I bring these teachings to myself first. And I see if these methods work for me. And I started unraveling. I can't even call it a can of worms. It was like digging, like digging your grave. And literally, I'm saying digging your grave. People are so afraid to talk about death, by the way. It's an interesting topic, but yeah. And literally digging it. Because the space I was in at that time was a space that I've never felt, never experienced. And broken glass pieces couldn't explain. I couldn't even see past that as to how this would fit together. So as I started understanding what it means, to accept what it means where I am, understanding what it means to truly unravel happiness, what it means to have joy, what it means to love, what it means to have compassion, what it means to be kind. And through all of that, it's all the acceptance we need to do of self. But here's the thing about acceptance. We have to accept, truly, truly accept, without judgment. Acceptance is through no judgment. Accept is what is in front of you. No questioning it. No understanding. No how, no why. Accept, but not judging. And that's what it means to truly accept who you are. The rebel. The person that is trying to put these pieces together and having this reflection of that. One of the things that I also realized as well is that reality is like a mirror, right?
Mm.
That mirror reflects back. It's your inner state that gets reflected. And that's just the quantum law, to be honest.
Mm.
Okay? The quantum law is being states that reality is like a mirror that reflects back at us based on our inner state of being. Okay? And it also says that the external world is not completely separated or independently from our inner world
Mm.
of our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs.
Mm.
And our extended world responds to and reflects our inner state.
Mm.
And people don't grasp that. A lot of people will come to me and tell me, Sesh, I'm stuck. I'm like, okay, what are you stuck about? Really, what are you truly, truly stuck about? And people will always point outside,
Mm.
everything external to them, not realizing that why you truly stuck is within.
Mm.
It's your internal state, your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, something in there. And that is what's reflecting back. That is your mirror.
Mm.
And most people don't understand that. You know, as you walk through the journey, you meet a lot of people along my way. And, I have teachers, in Australia. I have my sound teacher in South Africa. I have my teacher in Peru that I told you that I will be traveling through in April. And the wisdom that comes out of people from different walks, it shares with you the deepest truths of humanity and the tapestry that we are all woven together in. Because we're all one, we're no different from each other. We are all connected. People talk about the oneness, right? And we know separated from nature.
Mm.
Nature teaches us the difference in seasons. Mother Earth has been speaking to us in many different volumes over those years, especially now with all the floods, with all the terrains, the volcanoes. There's so much of disruption. But do we stop to actually reflect what our inner being is actually saying to us? Which brings me to mindfulness. And, you know, mindfulness, it is not easy because we live in a very distracted world, a distracted culture, that has taken us away from who we truly are. The noises around us, what we see, what we believe, what we think, what we listen to, what we consume ourselves with. And to be honest with you, mindfulness is an energy that allows us to touch the present moment.
Mm.
That's what it is. It is an energy of awareness.
Mm.
This moment, this very moment you and I are having this conversation right now, it's embracing what's right in front of us at this time.
Mm.
And it allows, this energy of mindfulness allows the mind and the body to actually unite, to become one. Most people have this, they call it the monkey mind. You may have heard of it. That is already gone, maybe 2 or 3 days down, or at the next holiday, or what goals. Some people go back in time, right? A teacher of mine always say we have 3 times that people live in. We live in the past, we always live in the future, but we never live in the present.
Mm.
How is that sounding to you?
Yeah, sure. Lots to reflect on. And I can really what's the word, like, testify to that, of someone who really has struggled a lot with with anxiety and just this feeling of um, just feeling very unsettled and ungrounded. And that really comes, what I've learned is from the mind being in either the future the whole time, or almost like having the heart be sitting in the past. And it's
Yes.
almost like somewhere between the mind that is pulling us forward and the heart that's keeping us back. I feel like the experience that I've almost had is that the disruption almost sometimes lies within actually being able to like speak and, like you say, self-expression. And when
Yes.
you're unable to actually just be yourself and express how you feel and be able to know what that is, like, to me, like, that is landing in the present moment. And that's, to me, one of the gifts that yoga has really brought me is when you get on your mat, it's not about getting on your mat. You might as well, I don't know, get on the lawn or stand on the beach, or I don't know, sit on your couch or whatever. It's this act of arriving into that present moment. And I mean, Vipassana was one of my like hard like schools of like awareness, awareness,
Yes.
awareness,
Yeah.
awareness, awareness. And
Yeah.
you sit for your 2 hour sit or your 3 hour sit. And I remember doing one of the sessions in my room, because you've got the option to do it either in the hall or in your room. And I remember sitting in my room, and I brought a little alarm clock with me to make sure that I don't oversleep or that I don't nap and not wake up, because I am like a serious napper. And one of my biggest fears of going on Vipassana was falling asleep during the meditations. Take a breather and explore the Aligned Living on demand video library, along with our exclusive membership perks. Plus, our YouTube channel is already up and running, offering even more wellness content. Your path to holistic living is just one click away. Visit our website to learn more. And now, let's return to our inspiring discussion. And haha, of course, it being the thing that was on my mind the whole time. The first
Yeah.
4:30 morning that I did in the big hall, I fell asleep, I fell over, I hit the floor, and it echoed through the whole entire hall. It was so hectic. But anyways, I did one of the sessions in my room, and I remember, okay, sitting, and I've got my little clock there, like, I'm not gonna look at it. I'm just gonna sit, and I'm just gonna do this. And sitting there, and my mind obviously being like, okay, I wonder how long I've been sitting here. I wonder how long I've been sitting here, and looking at the clock, thinking that I'd been there for 20 minutes. And when I like opened my eye, the hand hadn't even moved to 5 minutes yet. I hadn't even done 5 minutes yet.
It's like it's
And
too long.
yeah, and also like remembering, like, how specifically in the Vipassana, I remember this one meditation where my mind went into like writing like an entire script for like a movie. Like I wrote but it's like I don't even remember the mind going there. But then all of a sudden, like I came back and I was like, where was I? I just wrote an entire movie script, and now I'm back to, okay, awareness in the nostrils. Awareness. Okay, wait, you've still got like 45 minutes to go, and awareness of the nostrils. And so it's and I'm someone who, like, I feel like I'm quite mindful. Like I actively practice mindfulness like every day of my life. One of my favorite examples, and maybe you can share a little bit as to some more like kind of daily tips or practices or tools that people can bring in. Like for me, I know it's like when I leave my house is to stop, and I touch my front door, and I almost like give a little blessing on my home and be like, cool home, be safe. I'll be back. I'm present. Same thing when I get in my car. Before I turn my ignition on, I take a few breaths, moment, just like kind of more practical mindfulness
Mm-hmm.
practices. Because I
Mm-hmm.
remember, like, as a like girl in my like late teens or like early 20s, the amount of times I drove to work, and I'd get to work and I'd be like, straightener's on. I've left my straightener on. I need to drive home and make sure that it's not left on. Drive home, straightener's not on. Of course you put it off. but so unaware in those moments that unawareness is actually part of the disruption. It actually causes so much disruption in our lives
Yeah.
when, you know. So I'd love for you to maybe reflect a little bit on my share.
So, we tend to get overwhelmed and build up anxiety in ourselves. It's the mind that plays through all that we feel,
Mm,
right? Storytelling. If I have to tell you something now about a story of my dog, him passing away, how would that make you feel?
I mean, I immediately feel like, oh, shame.
Yes. So, the feeling that you just felt right now, it's not yours,
Mm,
right? So everything that we say, I know you said this earlier, the words that I use, the words that I use is intentional.
mm,
Why?
mm,
It's the way we make people feel with our words.
mm,
Words carry vibration.
mm,
So does thoughts.
mm,
So if you are in your mind, which most of us are, right? And it's the ego that plays in the mind that is controlling our actions, our thoughts, our behavior, and our responses. Because the ego, you've given the ego a job, right? You've given the ego a job. It doesn't know anything else. So, through some of the retreats that I do and some of the workshops that I have, it's about quietening down this ego that we find ourselves in, right? But at the same time, you have to start being consciously aware of what's happening within the mind and the body and the soul. And what is the talk or the chatter that you've been saying to yourself?
mm,
When somebody tells me they are overwhelmed or they don't have enough time, do you know how much women tell me they don't have enough time? I'm like, really? Why? And they'll give me their to-do list. Okay. It's like, okay, what are you doing now, though? Now, at this moment. So what happens is that we get overwhelmed with how much we have to do, how much we have to deliver, how much commitment that we have committed ourselves to, but not realizing today is only Tuesday.
mm,
What do I have to do today to achieve to becoming the best version of myself or to achieve to becoming the mom today? What do I need to do today? Not tomorrow, right? Because we don't know if we're guaranteed for tomorrow. We can't think about the past because the past has already happened. So whatever happened yesterday, guess what? You can't change it. It's
mm.
done.
Mm,
Okay? We can't go back and we can't go forward because we're not guaranteed that we're going to open our eyes tomorrow.
mm,
But we are guaranteed now, the here and the now. So what can we do today to be the best mom, to be the best version of ourselves, and contribute to what we say we were going to today?
mm,
So when we start getting overwhelmed with all the things that we need to do, when we start getting anxiety and claustrophobic and can't breathe and we're struggling and we can't cope, is because we're thinking of everything,
mm,
everything that as women, that as men, that we all have to do. The sad thing is that we have to do it not to satisfy us, but to satisfy society.
mm,
So what if I go home and I forgot to buy the bread? So what if I go home and I don't have anything to cook because I didn't think about cooking, right? What if I forgot to pick up the laundry or the laundromat? So what?
mm,
What's going to happen?
mm,
The kids are not going to have anything to eat. I'm sure you have something in the fridge or the freezer, even noodles that's there that they can eat.
mm,
Okay?
mm,
I'm sure the laundry could be picked up tomorrow. There's a lot of clothes in the water that could be worn, or ironed for that matter. But we tend to look at things Everything has to be done now.
Because you've already created
So
your list for tomorrow. So you can't do today's things tomorrow because tomorrow's already got a list.
it's not only that, Kat. It's not only that. Do you know how many times, take note about yourself, right? If a phone rings, how quick are you jumping to answer that phone?
Mm,
Do we take a moment and breathe, not rush, but take note of this is where I am right now?
mm,
When we're eating, how consciously aware of how we're eating? Where we eating? Are we on the couch watching TV, watching movie and we are eating? Are we at the table with the family and having a chat and are we eating? Are we sitting by ourselves and mindfully eating and feeling the texture of the food, smelling the aroma, embracing what's right in front of us? Or are we on our phones listening to things?
mm, mm,
Right? So, some of the tools, if you want to start understanding what's happening in your mind, the one tool I do recommend is journaling.
mm,
Definitely, for sure. Journaling helps to start becoming consciously aware of what's happening in the mind. You don't have to write pages. You can just write 2 sentences. You don't have to write every day. You can write once a week, every second day, however you feel. If journaling is not good for you in terms of writing, your phones have notes, it has apps. You can do voice recording. There's anything. I mean, you don't even have to type. You can do a voice recording that has Scribe on the phone, that it can do that as well, right? The first thing that if people want to start becoming mindful of what's happening, and they overwhelm, the first and the most easiest thing is your breath.
mm.
Your breath connects you if you follow the breath. So, can I demonstrate quickly?
Please.
So, your breath has a starting point and has an end point. So, when you breathe through the nostrils, is the starting point. So, we're inhaling. Now, the idea is to follow the breath. And when you're exhaling, you follow it out. Okay? I'll demonstrate it quickly,
Mm,
right? So, it's like, it has a start and it
mm,
has an end. To become mindful if you are overwhelmed, 3 breaths easily starts connecting yourself back into your body.
mm,
Okay? And that you can do anywhere. If you're stuck in traffic and you are in a meeting, you don't have to close your eyes. All you have to do is listen to your breath, connect to the start, follow the flow of the breath. And when you're releasing, follow the release and stop.
mm,
And that's what really connects you. Meditation, not a lot of people like meditation. Not a lot of people like to, be still. However, stillness helps us to bring clarity in the mind. It shows us a lot of things about ourselves. And a lot of people are afraid of it
mm,
because they're afraid of sitting and being still, is that I'm wasting my time.
mm,
So meditation can be 2 minutes, meditation can be 5 minutes. There's no right or wrong way. It's what makes you comfortable.
mm.
So I hope those tools help.
Mm, amazing. No, those are, I mean, definitely I practice all of those and I feel like just remembering that it's not a one shoe fits all kind of thing. And I say a lot, what you I like structure. I enjoy routine. But it's more important to me that that routine shifts to become ritual. So instead of, for instance, saying, okay, well, I'm going to do yoga asana every single day, asking yourself, but why am I wanting to do this? Because I'm wanting generally to move my body to connect to my breath. Okay, well, that means you could also walk, you could also swim, you could
Yes,
also
yes.
dance.
Mhm.
So so with all these practices, again, with the journaling as well. So for me, there's like a few different ways in which I journal. Sometimes I set a timer for 5 minutes and I say brain
Mhm.
dump. You're going to write for 5 minutes and it doesn't matter what comes out. You're just going to keep writing, keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. Or perhaps it's 3 specific journal prompts that you found somewhere that are really reflective on a specific situation you're going through, whatever the case might be. So,
Mhm.
looking at like, why am I doing these things and what is the best format that is actually going to serve me today. Something like meditation, as you say, a lot of people don't like to sit still. There are the many different forms of meditation. You can do a full body scan, you can go through a yoga nidra, you can do a visualization. You could maybe take it into something like, if you add the movement meditation together, moving meditation, your sun salutations, your lymphatic swings for your drainage, etc., etc. However, I do want to say that there is a reason why the meditation seat is the meditation seat. And so I do encourage that through all these things, that you do spend some time in that seat, that you do spend some time in that stillness, simply with yourself, observing. And for me, that's really where a lot of my magic has happened. Like, yes, through the other things, but a lot of people will argue, like playing tennis is my meditation, or playing squash is where I am able to, like, let go of my stress or whatever the case. But you still got the brain active, you're problem solving, you're like solution finding, you're, like your nervous system is spiked. Like you have to be able to come like out of all of that. So the seat is definitely, I think, something that is should be a point of interest for you if you are wanting to go deeper into these practices. And then I wanted to ask, so you're welcome to add a bit to that if you want, but I'm going to use it as a segue to take us into, for you personally, um, any specific, so I know you covered a few now, but for you personally, maybe
Mhm.
what are the practices that really ground you? I always ask the question, what does living an aligned life mean to you or feel for you, or how would you kind of express what that means? And I'm very excited to hear your answer to this.
Going back to what you were saying now, there's a reason why I didn't say the other meditations.
Mm,
We complicate things.
mm, mm,
Finding a seat in meditation, that's always been asked.
mm.
Sit,
But,
being able to sit with yourself.
mm. Love, love,
That's
love.
what you went there. I didn't go there. And there's a reason. Sometimes we find excuses because we want to make us relevant or share
Mm,
this, or this is how we've got it. There's a new way of doing things. This is how it is, as simple as finding a seat,
mm,
finding a piece on the ground.
mm. But it's, I mean, it's the same in with yoga asana and
Yes.
teachers and the whole,
Yes.
like, I was having this conversation yesterday with someone and saying, like, when you take the basic styles of, say, Iyengar and Ashtanga, it's right,
Hmm.
left, right,
Hmm.
left, right, left. You don't have to look around. You don't have to think about a complicated sequence. It's right, left, right, left. And you simply stick with that. And that is the magic of, to me, also, like, and for me, like, with going through gene keys and things like that, I'm just like been reminded so strongly of simplicity, simplicity,
Yes.
simplicity, simplicity. And Vipassana reminded that of me. That one of the big downloads I got there was, why is everything so messy? Everything
Yes.
outside of this
Yes.
Vipassana center is a mess.
Yes. But that's literally what happens, right? We tend to complicate things so much. We don't see the simplicity of just the words we're using to someone else, right? The
Mm,
love that we can have in the words that we're using to someone, the compassion, and I think people don't realize this. We have a lot of compassion that we give to people, but just giving them the words to put a hug over them, to
Mm,
show them what it's meant to love, to be loved, to feel love.
mm,
But we don't use these, we use words very loosely. And that is why things have become so complicated,
mm,
because the intention that has been put out is misunderstood. Definitely, for sure.
mm, mm.
So, my aligned life. What aligns me? Oh, you made me think about this one, I must admit, right? Um, I said to you, I'm a storyteller, right? I have A3 scripts, books, where I have this blank piece of page and I just create. What does my heart want to see right now? What
Mm,
does my heart want to feel? And when I create, I don't create for everyone, I create it for myself. I tap into what I need for my moment today, now. What am I feeling that takes me to this place of connection? The space of that's going to connect me to the words, to creating. But only when I create is when I feel,
mm,
right? Sound has given me this vibration where I can. So I meditate before the sun rises.
mm,
Okay. So, um, I'm a Hindu, right? So Hinduism, we believe a lot the gods that we worship, and we go into a space of before the sun rises and gives birth to the light that we see. We go into a space of deep understanding
mm,
and we connect ourselves to all the beings and lights around us in order to understand where does this day where does this day and light shows us for today.
mm,
So that's something that I do as well. I do chant, I do mantras. Um, my mantras are scripture mantras.
mm.
So I think I've shown you these. I have
Yes.
meditation beads, and with my meditation beads, um, I use scripture mantras from ancient scriptures, Hinduism, Buddhism, and I basically, go into that alignment, especially when there's a lot happening around me, to
Mm,
go into my space of taking away that distraction that I'm surrounded with,
mm,
right? I know you're gonna relate to this. A shower,
mm, mm,
that cleanse, that purity. Have you ever, and I
mm,
hope your listeners are gonna hear this, have you ever noticed the color of the water that embraces you in the shower?
mm,
Have you ever felt the texture of water? How it purifies you, how it caresses the body, how it makes you feel, whether it's cold, whether it's warm? Have you felt the love
mm,
that a shower or water gives you? The thing that's in your body is now on top of your body. Have you acknowledged that feeling, whether it's in the tub, whether it's in the shower?
mm.
The last thing I'll do is I do the crystal bowls and meditation stuff,
Yeah.
the Tibetan bowls. So I chant with those bowls and I
Mm,
go into a space of connectiveness and embrace the vibrations and how the vibrations connect with myself, my chakras, and going into alignment.
mm.
That is, it's the energy created on that level is on a it's totally on
Oh,
another level, right? It's a beautiful space to be able to create sound, the vibration and the frequency, to be able to connect on that level, and for it to nourish the body with so much of compassion and kindness to it. It really
mm,
does.
mm.
I've said a lot. I hope that helps.
I'm just like, oh my goodness. there's going to have to be a part two with this for sure, because
Oh, we can do a part two. We can
we
do a
need to
part two. That's
dive
no problem.
into so many things. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared here today. I feel like there are so many little key points that really stood out for me as well, and I'm sure those listening to this or watching this on YouTube will feel the same. Um, Last but not least, I think what if you could just share with the listeners or the viewers, where can they find you? Maybe tell us a little bit about Just Be and what that's all about. I mean, like you said, like we before this talk, I think it was before we went live, we were chatting about mindfulness in the corporate world. And Sesh was saying, like, I could write a book on this. And I was like, yeah, we could probably do like a 10-hour part series on mindfulness in the corporate world. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so maybe just share a little bit about where people can find you, get in touch with you, and connect.
Okay. Well, listen, connecting via yourself. For those that don't know, Kat and I are going to be collaborating this year. And we have put that intention out. And I said to Kat, I'm happy to come to Cape Town, and we can collaborate on some work together. Definitely for sure this year. So if you guys want to reach out to me, if you guys want to find me, so just be, that's literally what it is. It's a place where you can just be, whether you want to share your stories, your experience as a human being, whether you want to start unraveling your conscious awareness, whether you want to start unpacking the mind, the ego, the thoughts, the beliefs, mindfulness. You'll be able to reach me at Just Be Studios. You're going to find me on Facebook. You're going to find me on Instagram. The website address is justbe-studios.com.
Mm,
And Cass, I'll send you my details. You're welcome to put it on. And if you want to reach out to me directly, it's seshnee.naidu@outlook.com. And you are welcome to email me, ask questions, collaborate. I'm happy to we go into such deep conversations. I'm on so many different forums and groups and women's conferences and stuff. So, and I just want to say this, I don't deal, my retreats and work that I do is not for women, it's everyone. I just want to say that. My
mm,
meditation classes that I have, the sound therapy, the guided meditation, the rose ceremony, the retreats that I have, it's for both, it's for everyone.
mm,
Nothing that I create is for a woman or for a man. I
mm,
have retreats that corporates have reached out to me. I have CEOs that I coach
mm,
that gives them a very different perspective of what are they doing with their employees, right? And a lot of there's a lot of people that do a lot of spiritual stuff and all of that. I've brought a sense of, you know what? It's human.
mm,
And these are the things that we struggle with. These are the things that we all have this internal fight with. So reach out. I mean, if you can't find me, I'm sure Cass there as well.
mm.
And we both will help you if we need to. But, reach out. You're not alone in anything that you are doing or thinking right now. And speaking to teachers and people like us that have been there and have gone through a lot of things, not just in life, but through also what has helped us,
Mm,
not to say that it will do you, but it will certainly give you some guidance into a different way of how you think and start disrupting those belief systems, especially if you're finding yourself in a space of an unknown or
mm,
not belonging.
mm.
Cass, I want to say thank you so much to you. If you want to do a part
I
two,
I feel like that like last bit was like the mic drop for this whole conversation. Yeah, I'll put all the details in the show notes. So for those who want to check out Just Be Studios or connect with either of us, please feel free to do so. I I always also want to just make it very clear that, even when I'm teaching a retreat, it's not that like I'm the facilitator and there are the people who've come to know, like, I'm sitting next to you in the circle. We're all next to each other. We're all on this
yeah,
journey of life together. there's no hierarchy. So
Yes.
please don't feel intimidated to reach out. There's no such thing as a stupid question. And more than likely, often when you ask a question, the other person's like, I know exactly how you feel, or I know exactly what you mean, or I've probably experienced something similar. And if I haven't, I will probably know someone who has. So feel free to reach out. And again, Sesh, thank you from the deepest part of my heart. I thank my lucky stars every day that you've come across my path, and I'm super excited to see where life takes us this year. And like you say, it's been a long time coming for us to create together, and
Yes.
I expect nothing less than something absolutely extraordinary. And I think what excites me the most about us collaborating is like who that work is going to attract. Like I'm already excited to like meet those beings who come into that realm, because it's yeah, it's
Yes.
super exciting. So
What I can tell you, it's very magical bringing two souls like ourselves together and the magic we create. And it's not just about creating individually, it's bringing ourselves together as one and
mm,
creating this magic that we feel that ignite people, not just to come. And here's the thing, it's to believe.
mm,
And that belief that you're going to have about yourself, trust me, it is not something that you want to let go of.
mm,
Not
mm,
at all. And I'm looking forward to that.
yeah. Super excited. Thank you so much, love. And thank you everyone for listening, those of you who are still here. Please remember to share, to like, to subscribe if you found this information helpful. If there's anyone you can think of who it might also support, please feel free to send that on to them. And yeah, the more I can grow this platform, the more people we can reach, the more conversations we can have, the bigger, the more people involved, the more souls we can touch. So thank you for being a part of that journey. And yeah, before we keep going on forever and ever, much love to everyone. Thank you so much for joining, Sesh. And I will see you all online, in person, or I guess on the gram. Much love. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Aligned Living Podcast. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and a fresh perspective on your journey towards holistic well-being. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, your feedback fuels our mission to bring you valuable content that aligns with your life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, and feel free to reach out with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions for future episodes. We would love to hear from you. But until next time, take good care of yourself, embrace the present moment, and remember you are your own healer. Thank you for being a part of our community. Goodbye for now.